I'll start with a little bit of industry primer, but before I do that, just a question for the panelists. And this is a question that Chris O'Hearn asked last year, which I thought was a very useful question. If there was one thing that you could change about the MENA television market, what would it be? So if you could just think about that whilst we talk through a few fundamentals. So a sustainable business model normally refers to a short or a long-term plan where revenue exceeds costs. Here in the Middle East, Booz & Co. confidently predicted in 2005 that the industry was headed for a crossroads and for consolidation. I've just got a little picture for you here. This is 2005. I don't know whether you can see that. We were at 145 channels back then. This actually is 2011. The number's actually a little bit, there you go, a little bit higher this year. So we're already into the 650 kind of mark now. So clearly consolidation wasn't quite what the industry had in mind. The fundamentals of this market are phenomenal, though. We've got high GDP per capita. 4 out of the top 10 GDP per capita countries in the world are here in the region. Got a young and growing population, got very high TV penetration, and we've got consumption of TV over 3 hours a day. So everything looks great, right, for both a free-to-air and a pay TV market. But the market realities are low ad sales rates, only a small proportion of channels even having advertising representation and carrying advertising. And the audience appears to be fragmented and underserved, so most people don't really get what they want. It seems that way. So there are a few underlying issues, and I'm sure this is what we'll be talking about, but I mean, the market being a homogeneous entity, so that content in one country, be it Kuwait or Saudi Arabia, is consumed also in Morocco, also in Jordan. No domestic ad sales or limited domestic ad sales. You buy the classic slogan, you buy Saudi, you get Cairo for free, Egypt for free. Also, cost inelasticity for content, for example. And it's these bidding races that we see, duplication of capital costs so that every channel has to have its own facilities, and a general sort of a lack of cooperation fueled by external capital coming in. And then the transparency of free-to-air revenue itself, leading to an inefficient marketplace and a lack of regulation over piracy. Also, on the pay TV side, piracy figures as well, and arguably a lack of critical mass. Penetration needs to be at a certain level before pay TV can really take off. So these are the kind of issues that are facing. On the upside, or the potential disruptors that we see, though, we've talked about the increase in fibre, proliferation of IP services. That could actually allow us to create domestic markets. It could open up the region to international big businesses such as Google and Netflix. Also, dish bans could become a reality again. I mean, it's something that most people haven't seen for 10 years, but in a world where IP connectivity in the Gulf states, for example, is very real, I think it's highly possible that we could see some of those states looking at removing satellite dishes from domestic households. Other important things, of course, audience measurement is a critical thing. I'm sure we'll be talking about it in terms of transparency. And last but not least, the effects of the Arab Spring. And we see this, for example, in Egypt in terms of the upspring of several new broadcasters and a change in the commercial dynamics of the market. So that's a little bit of a background. And just going on to our distinguished panelists, I'm really delighted. This is a rare opportunity to get such a great group of individuals on the stage together. First of all, Dr. Riyad Najm, Deputy Minister of Informational Affairs in the Ministry of Culture and Information for Saudi Arabia. He's a broadcast veteran who's engaged in several media and technical positions since 1980 at the Ministry of Culture and Information. He's promoted in September 2011 to his present post as Deputy Minister for Information Affairs, following his role as Assistant Deputy for Engineering from 2005 to 2011 at the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. He's on the board of several international broadcast entities, including the ASBU, HDTV Arab Group, and IBC. He's also been on the boards of several international entities, such as the World Broadcasting Union, the ITU, and he's the head of the audiovisual regulations in Saudi Arabia. Dr. Najm holds a doctorate in telecommunications from Liverpool University. And then we have Naat Baran, head of Sky News Arabia, which is the Arabic 24-hour language news station set to broadcast across 50 million households in the MENA region. Among his wide scope of responsibilities, he's in charge of directing and managing the channel's news operations, safeguarding the Sky News standard and impartial, independent, world-class news reporting, achieving the company's business objectives. Naat possesses a wealth of experience from a career in journalism spanning over 20 years. He worked extensively across the region, covering major stories in countries such as Iraq, Algeria, Libya, and Yemen, as well as the Arab-Israeli conflict. He joined Sky News Arabia from Thomson Reuters, where he was director of television for the Reuters news agency. Former roles have included the Director General of the Jordan Radio and Television Corporation, Director of the News Centre of Abu Dhabi TV, where he spearheaded their acclaimed coverage of the war in Iraq in 2003. And he's also worked as a regional editor for the Middle East and Africa at Reuters between 1995 and 1999. Peter Einstein, the Deputy CEO of Rotana Media Group. Peter's the original member of the team, one of the original members of the team that launched MTV and Nickelodeon in the US. And he moved to London, I think in the late 80s or 90s, to develop MTV's international expansion as president and business director of MTV Networks Europe. In 1997, Peter became the first president and CEO of Sky News Arabia, direct-to-home digital pay TV network for Middle East and Africa, and North Africa, owned by Viacom and Kitco. And he oversaw the successful growth of the company over 10 years from the start-up to over 600 employees, serving 16 territories across the Middle East. Peter holds a BS in Business Administration from Ithaca College and an MBA in Marketing from Babson College. We have Mohammed Al-Shahi, the CEO of Strategy, Technology and Business and Executive Affairs for DMI. Mohammed is responsible for setting up DMI strategies, moving the organisation toward digital media, setting up new investment arm and improving the overall efficiency of DMI to be the leading media group in the Middle East. Prior to joining DMI, Mohammed was the Senior Director of Do Broadcast Services Division, and I remember this myself. He led the effort in managing all content distribution activities relating to the development of the strategy and growth of the satellite, CDN services and wireless technologies within Do. In fact, I think there was a conversation over a coffee we had some time back where you were just coming up with this brainchild and drawing it out on a napkin. Mohammed has led Do Broadcast to be one of the world's highest grossing independent divisions of an industry body, which is recently announced by World Television Association. He's nominated amongst the top 20 influential individuals in the Middle East in digital media and content industry by Digital Broadcast in 2010. Mohammed holds a bachelor's degree in electronic engineering and at the American University of Sharjah, and a Master of Science degree in modern digital and radio frequency wireless communications from the University of Leeds. And finally, last but not least, Mohammed Youssef, the CEO of Yar Live, the UAE-based satellite broadcasting company where he oversees all network and business development for Yar Live. Mohammed's aim is to position Yar Live as the region's leading broadcasting provider by offering a new and era of pure and highest quality high-definition 3D TV services. With more than 25 years of experience in the satellite broadcasting in the Middle East, Mohammed has held senior positions across the region. Prior to taking the position as CEO of Yar Live, Mohammed was the CCO of Arabsat, where he was responsible for sales, marketing, PR, and customer services activities. He's also the founder and managing director of MESAP Consultancy in Beirut, Lebanon, and the regional general manager of ICO Global Communications in the Middle East and North Africa. Mohammed holds a BSc degree in telecommunications engineering from Helwan University in Cairo, Egypt. Well, thank you very much again, gentlemen, for joining us, and perhaps I could have your answers to my first question, starting with you, Dr. Riyad.
Can you repeat the question, please?
The question was, if there was one thing you could change about the MENA television market, what would it be?
The reason I ask you, because you gave such nice introduction to each one of us that maybe we don't need to speak now. Okay, well, I think that's a question interesting that maybe I'll start off with a discussion that we just finished in the previous session, whereby it is the issue of how could the telcos and the broadcasters in this part of the world try to work together to bring the best content delivered to the consumer. And unfortunately, at this time, there is little talk between the two camps of telcos and broadcasters. Not maybe intentionally, but maybe because they're trying to achieve different objectives. Just a comment on the previous discussion that are they competing or are they complementing one another? It seems that they are doing both of this. They are competing on one side and complementing on another side. And perhaps if there is one thing that I would like to see is this harmonization, or trying to make this harmonization and collaboration between the two camps.
Thank you. What about you, Nod?
If I wanted to say everything I wanted to change about the MENA business, it will probably be longer than our bios. But I think it's all going to come down to advertising and sharing the pie of advertising, which is going to be the major challenge over the next few years. And I guess I don't think anyone in this business who wouldn't like to see more of the commercial capabilities and the commercial size increase in the region, and finding ways of how we can actually increase the size of the advertising pie so that the good floats up to the top and is assured success over many years.
Peter.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to echo Dr. Riyad's comments and the comments from before. There's nothing wrong with competing. And if you look at the successful markets in the world, everyone competes. But at the same time, they have an equal and aggressive focus on making the market larger and more robust. And that is where we don't strive and have an aggressive position. So I would like to see actually an even larger industry board or profile where it's represented by technology people, telcos, ISPs, content owners, content distributors, and everyone, where the focus would be to expand the market and just make a larger place for everyone to compete. And that's what I'd like to see. And we've done that a little bit, but unfortunately we haven't done that enough, certainly in the 15 years that I've been out here. So I hope we do more of that going forward.
To me, it will be simply proper audience measurement tools. Proper audience measurement tools. This is what is really vital and critical for us, because it's very important for broadcasters to put their content strategy and their editorial strategy based on proper audience measurement. So we would like to give consumers or viewers what they would like to see, and we would like to take those studies from proper resources and in the right manner, and that will affect the advertisement revenues as well, and basically advertisements revenue.
I think this is going to be a theme for this conversation. Can you be a bit more specific when you talk about proper? How would you define proper audience measurement?
People meters maybe, because today, as you know, in the region there is one company or two that gives you the rating of the channels and the programs and etc. And it's basically based on samples and those are the only references that we have. UAE started the People Meter initiative, which is doing well. And we'd like to see more of that, especially in Saudi Arabia, which is the biggest advertisement market in the region. And by having all of those tools and all of those information, audience measurement information,